Also today, YouTube has agreed to pay more than $24 million to settle a lawsuit over President Trump's suspension from the platform in 2021. The deal was first reported by the Wall Street Journal. Trump sued YouTube along with two other social media companies after they suspended his accounts following the January 6th riots. YouTube, which is owned by Google's Alphabet, is the last one to settle after Facebook's Meta and X agreed to do so earlier this year. According to court documents, much of the YouTube settlement funds will go towards building Trump's White House ballroom. The Pentagon confirmed plans today to send 200 members of the Oregon National Guard to Portland. In a statement provided to the NewsHour, spokesman Sean Parnell said the goal is to, quote, deter rampant lawlessness within Portland and to enable federal law enforcement officers to safely conduct their duties. The planned deployment has sparked protests, with small groups squaring off with Border Patrol officers already in the city. The state of Oregon and Portland itself are suing the Trump administration, arguing that the deployment is an unconstitutional abuse of power. In the meantime, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker says his administration has learned of plans to deploy 100 troops to his state. Speaking to reporters today, Pritzker said the deployment is aimed at protecting ICE personnel and facilities. This comes after tense confrontations over the weekend between federal agents and protesters outside an ICE processing facility in a Chicago suburb. Pritzker said today that, quote, none of what Trump is doing is making Illinois safer. The Trump administration is opening up 13 million acres of federal lands for possible coal mining. Interior Secretary Doug Burgum announced the action at a press conference earlier today.
Everybody likes to say, drill, baby, drill. I know that President Trump's got another initiative for us, and that's mine, baby, mine.
Officials are also providing $625 million to revamp coal-fired power plants. Environmental groups denounced the plans, which come after President Trump issued executive orders in April aimed at reversing a long-running decline in the coal industry. Coal once generated around half of America's electricity. Last year, it was around 15%. During Trump's first term, roughly 100 coal plants shut down. Video game maker Electronic Arts is being acquired and taken private in what could be the largest private equity buyout in history. Silver Lake Partners, Affinity Partners, and Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund, PIF, are teaming up to buy the maker of Madden NFL and The Sims, among other titles. They'll pay EA stockholders $210 per share. The companies value the all-cash deal at about $55 billion when counting in debt. Affinity Partners is run by President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. The southeastern U.S. could be spared from the worst of Tropical Storm Imelda this week, thanks to another Atlantic system that may draw it out to sea. Imelda has already forced evacuations and closed some offices and schools in the Bahamas. It's also lashed Cuba, where at least one person has died. It's expected to strengthen into a hurricane, joining major Hurricane Humberto, which is farther out in the Atlantic. And Humberto could actually be a saving grace, with its size and force acting to pull Imelda away from the U.S. Still, officials are warning residents not to take the potential impact of Imelda lightly.
The storm will likely linger, and hazardous conditions on the coast may continue throughout the end of the week. So if you're visiting the beaches, please stay out of the water this week. And folks in the east, just be aware that flash flooding may happen in your community.
Although the U.S. should be largely spared, the same cannot be said for Bermuda. Both storms are heading toward the island territory. Humberto is set to wrap around and pass north of the area tomorrow and Wednesday. Imelda is on track to hit Bermuda head-on as a strong hurricane around midweek. European leaders today celebrated the results of this weekend's elections in Moldova, which handed the pro-Western governing party a clear majority in parliament. French, German, and Polish officials congratulated Moldova for a peaceful election, despite what they called Russia's, quote, vote-buying schemes and disinformation. Located between Ukraine and EU member Romania, Moldova is seen as a geopolitical battleground between Russia and Europe. It applied to join the EU in 2022 after Russia invaded Ukraine. Moldovan President Maia Sandu says the vote's outcome shows continued support for that effort.
We want to keep this country part of the free world, And no matter how difficult it is, and no matter how big the pressure from Moscow is and will be, we will continue because we believe in freedom and democracy, and that's the choice of the Moldovan people.
Russia denies interference and instead alleges that hundreds of thousands of Moldovans who reside in Russia were unable to vote due to limited polling stations. For his part, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky praised Moldova's result, saying it shows that Moscow failed to, quote, destabilize the country. Wall Street posted modest gains today as some big tech stocks regained their footing after recent losses. The Dow Jones Industrial Average added nearly 70 points on the day. The Nasdaq rose more than 100 points. The S&P 500 also ended higher. Still to come on the NewsHour, why health care has become a sticking point in the negotiations to avoid a government shutdown. Amy Walter and Tamara Keith break down the latest political headlines. And how the art world has been responding to a second Trump administration.
This is the PBS NewsHour from the David M. Rubenstein Studio at WETA in Washington, and in the West from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University.